South Africa's diplomatic missions in the United States have indicated their readiness to register expats who intend to vote in the country's general election later this year. South Africa's diplomatic missions are using this weekend to service those living abroad with their IEC registration. Our U.S. correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Peace is standing by at the SA Consulate General in Manhattan, New York, to give us a sense of how the process is currently unfolding in that region of the world. Sherwin, a very good evening. Over to you.
Alicia, thanks very much indeed. And as you correctly point out, we are located here at the Consulate General in Midtown Manhattan, one of 3 South African missions, including, of course, the South African Embassy in Washington, D.C., and the Consulate General in Los Angeles, of course, the other Consulate General in Chicago, closing down a few years ago. So those are the 3 missions that will be catering to South African expats seeking to register in person. But if you listen closely, Alicia, the sound of silence. I'm told not a single person, no foot traffic yet, since they opened doors at 8 a.m. local time this morning. That's about 2.5 hours into the process that will conclude at around 5 p.m. Local time later today and tomorrow, because this is a process that is essentially playing itself out online. I, as an expat living in the United States, was very simply able to register online. He of the green ID book variety. I uploaded my green ID book index page. I then uploaded the index page of my South African passport, and voila, I got a confirmation email from the Independent Electoral Commission to confirm that I'm registered to vote in South Africa's general election at this location in Manhattan, New York. To talk us through the process that is unfolding here, I am joined by South Africa's acting Consul General to New York, Mr. Ismael Esau. He is, of course, South Africa's Deputy Chief of Mission, his regular job at the South African Embassy in Washington, but he's been seconded to Manhattan to run the office here. Mr. Esau, a very warm welcome to SABC News. Tell us how the process is unfolding here. What are your expectations? Slow in terms of foot traffic.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the listeners. Appreciate it for this opportunity. Yeah, it's relatively start of a slow process. The reason being, I assume that people are making use of the online registration, which the IEC, the Electoral Commission, has instituted in December. It's operationalized in December 2023, and now it's in full swing. And the particular missions across the world have been requested by the government to assist in this process of registration. So it's basically an online registration process, and at a certain particular steps. And like you rightfully say, what you basically need is your ID and your passport, and you're great to go, basically. But somehow there'll be a bit of glitches, but you'll just have to endure, and the process will take you through. And
if you encounter, of course, a glitch online, people here in the flesh are there as sort of a backup, essentially, right? But this is a process that is very simply, easily playing itself out online. How have you been able to get out the message to South Africans living in the United States to say, hey, this is a process that we're embarking on, come in and register or go online?
Yeah, now all missions through our governments and through the IEC have been working together to get the messaging out. In terms of these special days, the 27th and 28th have been identified as registration days. So where people encounter problems, should they encounter problems, and like I said, the process is relatively simple to register online. But should they encounter and have any challenges, these days are open days for South African citizens living abroad to visit the particular missions, as you mentioned, the embassy in Washington, the consulate in LA, and here in New York. And these steps, or the process, has been widely circulated on social media platforms like Facebook, like Twitter, Instagram, the websites of the respective missions.
Talk a bit about the numbers. I know the IEC shared some of the numbers. Give us a snapshot, if you can recall some of the figures you were sharing with me earlier. You were talking about, the UK seeing the most number of traffic online so far. But remember, this is a process that didn't start today. Mm-hmm. The portal has been active now for some weeks. What are the numbers in the United States, for example?
As I recall, the IEC on the 25th of January released statistics and said about over 18,469 South Africans have registered abroad, with about over 800 registered in the US, and the largest number is actually in the UAE. Yeah.
In the UK, no?
In the
United Arab Emirates.
Emirates has a lot.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I also was Googling online, and I got a number that about 120,000 South Africans live in the United States. We're not going to see that level of number come to vote, right?
Hopefully, they spread across the US, so you don't know where. Probably people are like I said, making use of this portal. Yeah, and this is an important part in simplifying the voter process. And yeah,
Alicia, I also earlier this week chatted to South Africa's Consulate General in Los Angeles, of course, one of the 3 missions in the United States for South Africa, Tandile Sunduza. This is what she told me about her preparation for this weekend watch.
As a Consul General in the West Coast, we want to say as the LA mission, we are ready. For the voter registration, which starts from Friday until Sunday, which is we start from 8 to 5. And people must remember is the Pacific time. They must go to according to the US number. The mission will be open. The staff will be there. They should bring their IDs and their passports. Even if their passport is expired, it's fine as long as they've got the South African passport. Although we encourage people to register online because it's much more important and easy, and the link there is user-friendly, is also on our website as well. On safety measures, I know people are concerned with what is happening in the globally. We're on board with the Los Angeles Police Department for safety, with the diplomatic police, with the Office of the Foreign Ministry. So the safety is guaranteed if people are worried about securities, and the securities in the building as well. And further to say, just to remind South Africans as well that they must also change their voter status, because some of them, they were registered in South Africa, now they're in the US. So they must be reminded that they must change their voter status. Otherwise, the staff will be there, I'll be there too.
Tandile Sunduza, South Africa's Consul General in Los Angeles, still in conversation with Acting Consul General in New York, Ismael Esau. Just a final word in terms of this process. What sort of numbers are you expecting at the end of this weekend? And a final message to expats in this part of the world.
Firstly, expats, if you wish to register, you are encouraged to come out to the respective missions, whatever region you are residing. The missions are open, like I said, for the weekend, 27th and 28th, from 8 o'clock till 5 o'clock, should you encounter any challenges in registering to vote. Yeah. So you're most welcome. And what was your follow-up question in that regard?
No, just your expectations in terms of the numbers.
The numbers have been relatively slow, as you could see. It's dribbling in, but we hope to see the numbers increase because the weather might be playing havoc in terms of it's cold out there, and South Africans are slow to come to these processes.
Right.
We'll probably see them all coming at 3 o'clock when closing time is 5 o'clock. Yeah, but we'll expect a good turnout.
Ismael Esau, South Africa's Acting Consul General in New York, thanks so much for making time to speak with us today. Good luck with the rest of it. So Alicia, just a snapshot of what's happening here in the United States, of course, emblematic of what is happening at South African missions around the world. And of course, the big wait is for President Cyril Ramaphosa to announce the election date. And that should see a little bit more foot traffic at missions like this one in New York.